maximum discussion, we would like Dr. Rahul to present the chapter about the multinational company. Dr. Rahul will present and explain the material for 45 or 1 hour. After that, we will open a question session for all of you for discuss. Please welcome Dr. Rahul.
Thank you, Dr. Nini. Could you give me sharing rights?
Okay. Wait, Doctor. Okay, done. You will.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Salamat pagi and a very good morning from India. Thank you very much again for inviting me on another lecture on advanced finance, which will be focused on multinational corporation. It's basically it's not a very complicated topic. It's more easy to understand if you can put this topic in the real context in your mind. So let us see what multinational corporation basically it is. During this lecture, I will share you the meaning of multinational corporation, which we call MNC. We will also discuss about how any company can be an MNC. If any company which is next to you can be say that it's MNC. So there are certain guidelines if you are saying that this company is MNC or not. What is the history or evaluation of MNC in the world as well as in the Indonesia? In general, MNC structure, how MNC work. We will do SWOT analysis of MNC. SWOT analysis means strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat analysis of MNC companies. And we will also discuss why any country, make MNC's company, why they establish, and whether it's good or bad to have a MNC in the country. So let's start with the first one, which we call it, what is the meaning of MNC? You know all these brand like Google, Starbucks, Adidas, Amazon, Coca-Cola, these all are basically MNCs, which we can use in India, we are using in Indonesia, we are also using in US and UK. So these are certain examples. But how Google can be MNC, how we can say YouTube is MNC or Adidas shoes is an MNC. Let's take in a definition. MNC basically is a word called national corporation. So multi means when you have more than, it means you should have more, means national means it's from a particular country. It could be from India. Operations we hand to a solution or a business. So when we add multi-corporation, we say that corporation, which means having a main office in Indonesia, but in India, maybe Malaysia or Singapore. So when any companies is having 2 or 3 offices out of their country, we call it that company national corporation. Let's take in a slightly more in detail. Corporation or the same word, but with slight difference. As we say that multinational companies which is having offices in more than one country. If any business which is having 2 offices, one in Asia, we can say that it's a multinational company. What they do with this office? They do production, distribution, and consumption. For example, Indonesia makes batik shirt, right? So if you make a batik shirt in Indonesia, that means production. You send that batik shirt to Malaysia and India, that's called distribution. And the people of India, Malaysia or UK wear that batik shirt is called consumption. So that is the three process the multinational companies work. Simple, more than one country. It should be 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, more than one country. As I say, their main office, that's what we call can be European country, Japan, Asia, and their country, China, India. For example, if you say having a head of quarter, branch in India, another in US, they have a distribution or production office in India, and they have distribution office in all over the world. So that's why we call Apple is an MNC. That's the any company MNC. So what was our what is MNC? We have answered. Any company classified into MNC. A company can classified into MNC when follow all these criteria. So any company who follow all these criteria, we call it MNCs. Okay. Here I have told you that you will find one word multinational company and transnational corporation. So let's take a difference between these two words, multinational plus versus transnational. Multinational having a main head office in one country and small offices, that's what we call branch office, in different country. Example, iPhone, right? What is transnational then? Transnational companies are those companies, they don't have any head office. They have small offices in every country, which is work like a head office. So that's the main difference. In company, there is one head office in one country and small office in different. Like Indonesia have a batik shirt company in Surabaya. They have a small office in Malaysia and Singapore. That company will called MNC. But if that batik shirt, which is developed in Indonesia, they open another business in Indonesia, in Malaysia, which produce batik shirt in Malaysia. They are not taking shirt from Indonesia. That kind of company comes under transnational. So that is the only main important difference between transnational and multinational company. How is a company classified as an MNC? First of all, they should have offices out of their own country. Like example, I said that iPhone has a head office in US, and they have a small offices in different countries like India, China, and some other part also. Operation in a number of countries. Like iPhone company is basically from US, but they do production and assembling in India. So they do the operation in India and sell to other countries. So that's another criteria. If any company follow that criteria, we say that it's an MNC. They have a high portion of means. They have very, very big buildings. They have they have so many people working with them. That is another criteria called MNC. You will not find any company which called MNC have only 10 employees or maybe small office in Jakarta. No, most of the high MNCs having a big office, 5,000 employees, and a lot of money. Also, stakeholders are from different countries. Stakeholders means owners, right? So they have a lot of owners from different countries. Example, sorry, iPhone have a main owner in US, but there is one office in India. I here MNCs, where did these MNCs comes? Is it started in 2000? Is it started in 1980s? So we need to understand the history of MNCs. I know this word called Dutch, right? Which Dutch companies ruled in Indonesia also and some part of India also. First MNC was East India Company, right? This is MNC. So the Dutch, when they start their business, they come to different part. What they do, they take the resource of that country, or like in India, they used to come, they take a gold, they make a jewelry, and they take that jewelry to UK or other part of the world. So that's the way they start the MNC concept in all over the world. That's a perfect example you see in Indonesia also. I can give you an example. Sorry. If you remember, the first time Dutch people comes to Indonesia in 18th century, they come to Indonesia like this as a businessman, and then slowly they start business as a company, and later on they make Indonesia as their colony. I mean, they start ruling Indonesia. So most of the MNCs which is coming from that direction, they ruled different developing countries like India, Indonesia, Vietnam. So what are the characteristics of multinational companies? They should have very high assets, means lot of money, lot of buildings, lot of employees. That is the one criteria the MNC should have. First, lot of money. They should have lot of branch, one office in US, one office in Mexico, one office in South America, one office in UK, one office is in South Korea. So they means they should have one or two office out of their countries. This is another criteria for MNCs. Control, the major, I mean, as I said, there is a head office is in US. This office control all other offices by giving them instructions and doing other process. So they are having a centralized control by home country, means where the head office is. Continue growth. MNCs, you see that MNCs are continually getting profit from the market, because what they do, did you remember in the last class we talked about merger and acquisition? When an MNC comes to Indonesia, suppose, for example, any burger company of comes to Indonesia, and what they do, they have an MOU with the Indonesian burger company. That's what we call merger and acquisition, and that's the way they start their business in new country. And that's why the lots of MNCs are distributing in all over the world. That's a very important, that MNC should have a latest technologies, right? Just an example, like iPhone always comes every 2 or 3 months, the new iPhone for new iPhone model. How it could be possible? Because they have a latest technologies which is not having with any other country. That's why a lot of people buy iPhone, because of their latest technology, good camera, speed, lightweight, and all these things, right? So these are the major 5 criteria. If any company follow these 5 points, we can say that this company is multinational company. Now, let us see the structure of multinational company. The first structure, we call it horizontal structure. I will tell you what does it mean, but that structure is followed by McDonald's. Second structure is vertical integrated structure. I will also tell you about this. This structure is followed by Adidas company. And the third structure is diversified. Diversified means different direction. That structure is followed by Microsoft. So let us take example of what is horizontal, what is vertical, and what is diversified multinational corporation. The vertical integration is something like this. You have, suppose, a one cow, right? This cow is sent to the meat shop, where they cut this cow and make it into small pieces. Then they send it to the cold store where they put meat in the ice so that it's not get bad. That cold store send this meat and packed and send it to the mall or send it to the shops, right? Where the people can buy. So when production and distribution is going on this way on the vertical side, that's what we call it vertical integration. So some companies, MNCs, follow this model. Like we said that McDonald's. So McDonald's use the same model. That's why we call it McDonald's is a vertical integration company. Oh, sorry, not McDonald's. I'm sorry. Adidas follow this concept. That's why we call Adidas vertical. Let's take an example of horizontal integration. Horizontal integration is not like this. This is a one company which produce oil. This is another company produce oil. This is third company produce oil. And this is another company produce oil, right? So when they send oil product into one company, that's what we call horizontal. That's well. For example, I make that. You also make batik, and there is who also make batik shirt. We all three sell that batik shirt to the mall, and that sell that batik shirt. That's an example of horizontal integration. I'm sure in vertical they follow the direction like this, in down to up. In vertical they follow the direction like this in the plane way, where different people sell their product one company. Here the product is changing into different way and finally go to the one product. So here one people have cow, the another people have where they cut, the third people is having cold store with the ice, the fourth people is having car or maybe truck to transport that, and the fifth people is a company. But here there is no so many people, there is everyone is producer and they sell their product to one company. Let's take an example of diversified integrated company. This is an example. PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Kellogg's. Coca-Cola don't make only cold drinks. They make so many other products. See, these products are basically Coca-Cola products. Same Nestle don't make only chocolates. They make shampoos. They make cornflakes. They make lot of biscuits. They make lot of other products. So an MNC make so many product which is different. That kind of company we call it the diversified integrated company. Just for your example, I tell you this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, or somewhere around 11 companies. But majorly these 10 companies hold somewhere around 75% business of all over the world. So what you are eating, whatever you are buying, whatever you are wearing are directly and indirectly coming from all these 10 companies. That means these 10 companies basically rule the consumer market of all over the world. Okay, let's do the SWOT analysis. Other MNC, what is the strength of a MNC? What is their weakness? So what is the biggest strength of the MNC? The product which they produce is price is very low. For example, this McDonald's burger comes on Indian currency 20 rupees, which is very low. So how it could be a lot of products from in a low cost form, so that they and their infrastructure and their machines are good. That's why the product price is low. What is weakness? One office is in Indonesia, another office is in India. Another office is in US. The oil transportation to an MNC company. What kind of opportunities MNCs have? A lot of benefit from government. So if US government put the government put restrictions on the MNC company. For example, if any company of US wants to open a meat shop in Indonesia, as per the Indonesian government, that meat should be comes from halal, right? If the MNC is not following the halal meat restriction of Indonesian government, the Indonesian government will not allow them to open an office or a company in Indonesia. So this is a small strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat. Evaluation of MNCs while how they work and what are the opportunities they have in any country. Let us see what is the impact of multinational company. If any company comes to Indonesia, what will happen? Is it good, bad? Let's see. When any international companies open an office in Indonesia or any country, they bring money, right? That's what we call foreign direct investment. To buy a land in Indonesia, that company need to pay money to the government. To take a license from Indonesia, they need to pay money to the Indonesian government. They will bring lot of employment because they cannot bring lot of people from you to give jobs to Indonesian people. So that's why when the MNC comes, they bring money and employment to the company. Oh, sorry, to the particular company. Whether it's good to bring a international company to or a multinational company to the country, let's see. Yes, as I say, they bring lot of money. That's what we call capital. Capital means money, right? To the country which they are opening their office. They also bring the latest technology because they have to open an office or a company in Indonesia. So whatever the technology they are using in US, they will bring that technology to Indonesia. And as the Indonesian employees are working in that company, they will also learn that technology. So here is an example. You can read, it's very easy. If a German-based company is making a car, and if they open a company or a branch in Indonesia, they will bring the latest car technology from Germany to Indonesia, which Indonesian people can learn, and later they can use that technology for their own country. Although there is some rules and some guidelines are need to be followed while they are giving that technology, because some technologies are not for transfer, some technologies are for transfer. Okay, so what is the bad part of MNCs if they come? First of all, they bring pollution. If they open a factory in Indonesia, they will use Indonesia land, they will use Indonesia water, they will use Indonesia air, they will use the raw material of Indonesia. So that's the way the MNC start using resources of the country, which is not good for the country. Another thing, like when the MNC comes to the country, they give bribe and to the government to give some relaxation. So that's the way the corruption also increase when the MNC used to come to any country. So in last, what we can say, is it multinational good? Hero means good, or its villain means bad? Is Google is good or bad? I'm sure most of you people will say yes, Google is good because it helps us to find a lot of things. But there are something which is hidden and very dangerous. If you don't understand it, then it could be a problem. Let us see what are the problems. For example, Google, Amazon, Starbucks, what they do, sometimes they don't pay taxes to the government. Like, for example, Indonesian government, every MNC need to pay 20% tax to the government every year because they are using our resources. But a lot of MNCs, what they do, they give money to the politician, and rather than paying 20%, they pays only 10% or 8% because they have given money to the politician. So that's the way they save their tax and get more profit, right? So that's what Google, Amazon, and Starbucks was, some countries have put a case against that. Second, as I say, lot of MNCs used the resources of that country. So for example, like water is one of the important resource, right? So when the MNC open, they use, when suppose Coca-Cola open a factory in Indonesia and they said we are going to make Coca-Cola in Indonesia. So how they are going to use? They need water, they need a distilling process, right? So where did they get water? Well, they will take the water from Indonesia. So the water which Indonesian people can use to drink, the water is going to be in those companies. That's why there is a gap between the requirement and the demands. So that's why a lot of time you have seen that a lot of countries and people oppose to open an MNC in their country because they want to save their resources. Another example of MNC bad is in any MNC, the people need to work very hard and long hours. An example, when Apple is having a factory in China, the people who are working in that to work 14 or 16 hours in a day, which is almost against the law of labor. If a person is working in Apple in US, used to work working the people of that home country and they manipulate and they misuse the human resource of that country. So this is another example that why MNC is bad. Some other example, when you use suppose you have, I think, Gozak, that two-wheeler which is used for, again it's an MNC now, but if any company comes, suppose Uber or something will come to your country, the business of a local company will goes down. So that's another challenge which brings the multinational. That's what how local companies are closing because of multinational. Let's say the two people, one say it's MNC is good for the country, and the second say the MNC is bad. Those who say good, we call them defenders. Those who say MNC is bad, we call critics. MNC is good for a company. They say that they bring money, they bring technology, they help the countries for more jobs for their people. So that's what the good people, those who people believe that MNC is good for that country. Those who say it's bad, what they say that these MNC use our local resources like water, electricity, land, and the also basically not very good for countries like India, Indonesia, because they use our resources and they take all the profit from Indonesia to US, right? So that's the two communication or the two discussion between those who say good and those who say bad. Let us take an example of some MNCs of Indonesia. The number one is again the Dutch company Unilever. Remember, Dutch ruled Indonesia and Unilever is a Dutch company, which is one of the biggest MNC in Indonesia also, with having a great country, right? HM Sampurna, this is one of the biggest tobacco company, right, in Indonesia. Number third is Astra International, is again another important MNC in Indonesia, which is, if I'm correct, dealing with automotive, financial services, and infrastructure. Google, of course, is another MNC, not only in Indonesia, it's all over the world. Marriott International, I have been staying Marriott Hotel in Indonesia, Jakarta, and you see that Marriott is having a hotel in, if I'm correct, in Surabaya also, or in Bali also, or in Jakarta. So that's this how MNCs, different MNCs basically actually working in Indonesia. Now, as being a student, you need to decide whether the MNC is good for Indonesia or bad. These are some other in Asia. These all are MNCs: Toyota, L'Oreal, and ExxonMobil. So whenever next time you see this company office in here. You just think MNCs and also evaluate whether these companies are good for your country or bad, right? With this note, I'll close this lecture and I'll open a discussion if you have any questions related to MNCs and others. To you, Dr. Yuni.
Do you have any question for Dr. Rahul? Melly, Judith, where are you? Melly. Melly, Judith, do you have any question for Dr. Rahul about this material? Please open your camera. Hello. Hello. Okay. Hello. Angelina, do you have any question?
Okay, if the
Hello.
student is not having questions, I have a questions. Any student, please,
Okay.
please
Okay.
tell me whether MNC is good for Indonesia or not. Tell me.
Yeah.
Who will tell me whether MNC is good or bad for Indonesia? Any student who wants to tell me? Fabriana, Anna, who will tell me?
Okay. Fabriana.
Where is Fabriana? Judith, you will tell me?
Judith.
Yes,
Where are
thinking.
you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. I keep this question with you. Just think about it, whether an MNC is good for Indonesia or not. And if you have any answer, you can, we will discuss and I will answer you that whether, because it's very complicated questions, right? Any MNC comes to any country, they brings money. Every country needs money to improve their economy. But the same time, when the MNC comes, they use your resources, they bring a lot of problems. So you need to be very smart and balanced while you're taking decision to allow any MNCs to come in your country. The recently, like Indonesian government and Indian government allowed international university to open their campus in Indonesia or India. So that's another example where the these MNC concept will come. So as being in a young student, especially from finance or undergraduate level, you should understand the plus and the minus of any decision which is related with the MNC. So Dr. Yuni, from my side is done. If there is no questions, please allow me to go.
Can you?
Dr. Yuni, if there is no question, can we close?
Okay. You can lanjutkan lagi. Sir.
I can. Okay, thank you very much. Terima kasih. Please be.
Oh. Live ya.